You have the air tank and exhaust system. So fresh air is vitally important to the engine's operation. Think about it as the engine is the heart of the vehicle. It needs to breathe. It needs that air. And you can also think of it as lungs as well, the air tank lungs of the vehicle. So the air intake and exhaust system, you want to make sure there's fresh air for the engine and it gives the system room to breathe. And newer vehicle emission systems have these special filters or reduction units that convert or changes harmful chemicals to harmless ones. Then it also has a diesel particulate filter, also known as DPF, and a selective catalytic reduction unit, also known as SCR. Now, the DPR traps large soot particles or contaminants and it burns them. That is also known as DEF. Specifically, DEF is diesel exhaust fluid. That is a liquid used to reduce the amount of pollution that's being created in a diesel engine. But to note, if a vehicle has not been operating with a high exhaust temperature for a while, then it will do a active regen. This involves the fuel being dumped directly into the DPF in order to burn up the soot that was collected. So regen means to regenerate. Now, if a vehicle has SCR, this unit actually injects or gives diesel exhaust fluid, which is DEF fluid, into the exhaust system. So it goes into the exhaust system and it flows through that converter and it changes the harmful chemicals or toxins in that exhaust to harmless ones. For example, you have nitrous oxide. And then the air tank system, it fills out dirt, dust, and water. And it delivers a large amount of fresh air into the cylinders as well. After the fuel is being burnt, which is also known as combustion, after the fuel is burning, which is the combustion, the exhaust system collects and it uses gases, passes them through the turbocharger, and it takes them to a tailpipe or exhaust stack. So combustion is the act of burning. This is the reaction between the fuel and the oxygen. Whereas turbocharger is a type of blower that is powered by the engine exhaust, and it forms air and pressure to increase the engine power and performance of the vehicle. So turbochargers like turbo boost, it gives that extra power needed to fully drive and run the vehicle itself. So the turbocharger converts or changes the power from the exhaust gases into the power that's used to force air in the engine. Then after cooler cools the intake air from the turbocharger, then it converts from the turbocharger to the temperature, and that can be used by the engine itself. So the cooler helps the turbocharger as well to a temperature that is appropriate for the engine. Then you have the pyrometer. That is the instrument that measures the temperature of the exhaust gases. Now, normal temperature is between 600 degrees Fahrenheit to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And that also depending on the type of vehicle. Now, note, if the exhaust temperature is too high, the engine and turbocharger can be damaged. Now, you want to make sure when you're checking the air intake and exhaust system, make sure that that air intake tubing is in good condition, because if there's a problem with the intake tubing or filter, that can result or lead to loss of power and possible dirty air will enter in the engine. So you want to make sure the exhaust is in good shape and that there's no loose mounts or areas that are rusted through. And make sure there is an adequate, meaning it's appropriate, right amount of DEF in it, DEF fluid in it. Because if the vehicle has DEF, diesel exhaust fluid tank, you need to have that. Otherwise, the vehicle will slow down and over time it will degenerate, which means that the vehicle will shut down and it will be extremely hard to start the vehicle back up if you do not regen or regenerate or have enough diesel fuel in the tank. Now, if there's a problem with your emission system, the engine will operate at reduced power until the problem is addressed or resolved. In other words, you'll lose that vehicle's power and the vehicle will slow down until that issue is fixed. That's why it's crucially important. That's a safety mechanism, but you need to have that DEF fuel so that way you will not lose or degenerate power from the vehicle. Now, during your pre-trip, you need to check the vehicle's air intake and exhaust system. During your pre-trip inspection, there should be no cracks, no excess soot, build up anywhere in the exhaust or emission system. And if you see a problem developing, such as a clamp or mount coming loose, or if you have a leak that's starting that's underneath of that cap, you want to make note of that and write it up on your DVIR. And if the exhaust pipe is coming apart or rusted through or leaking, do not operate the vehicle until it is repaired. Hey, BET Trainer here. Listen, if you really had true value out of this video, go ahead and click that like button and share some honest comments about this video, because this is going to help other people as well see the video and get the value information, so that way they can be inspired by what you're doing right now as well. So also, if you want to get the latest updates, go ahead and click the subscribe button, so then you can be able to always be updated on the next instant video that will be put out. So again, go ahead and do that. And this video was sponsored by BET Life Services and CDL for Life.